What's going on, everybody? This is ODC, that's me, and I'm back with another action figure review. This is my review of the DC Unlimited New 52 Darkseid figure. Yeah. Now, I had already seen reviews on this action figure, so I'm going to try and really give my own perspective on this. There's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons to this figure, but unfortunately for me, the cons really outweigh the pros. Now this is just my opinion, but I don't know. It's just a big whiff and I think a missed opportunity on Mattel's part, which is. I'm going to give you my perspective if I was Mattel and I was making this figure for our New 52 fans or new fans collecting Mattel products when this was released, what they should have done. And I mean, it's blatantly simple. In their defense here, I'm just messing around with some lighting here. In their defense, the sculpt work is very well done on this, but the problem with the main thing is the sculpting. Now, I just want to make that very apparent. The sculpting is very well done on him, but the big miss was the proportions of this figure are just all over the place. He's not very menacing looking. He's not very big at all. He's based on the Motu body, I believe, with some differences, some similarities to the Dark Knight Returns body. So if you're familiar with that, with a couple sculpting variations, but the proportions are way off on this figure. As far as the head sculpt goes, though, let me just switch my lighting over here. As far as the sculpting goes, though, the head sculpt is beautifully done. I mean, they did a really great job on all the sculpting. And even the paint is pretty well done. I don't really have too much to say about the paint. There's a little bit of, slop towards the bottom. Both of these ankles aren't lined up properly. This one's a little higher than that one, but overall, I think it's pretty well done, and like I said, look at that face. That is a very well sculpted face. Just as good as the Collect and Connect DC Universe Classics Darkseid. The other kind of miss that they had was the range of motion and in his articulation. It's just really strange why they decided to go with this body. I'm not sure, but now I'm going to get to what I would have done if I was running this wave. Now, I believe in this wave we got Superman, we got Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and then we got a couple Injustice figures. I believe it was Green Lantern, blah, blah, blah. But you had enough figures in this wave that if you were going to do one more Collect and Connect figure, you could have done one of two things. Either go with a Darkseid, just like you went with a Darkseid on this. Okay? You could have went with a Darkseid Collect and Connect and just based it off this body. You could have reused this body and just resculpted the way you wanted to. This just comes off as laziness to me. Especially the shoulder pads are way too big for the body. His hands are way too big for his body. I don't know. He's not tall enough. He's not very imposing. He just looks like a midget compared to the Collect and Connect. Look at this. Even width. Look at this. It's just the shoulder pads are really making him look wide up top, but he's really not that wide. He's kind of skinny. It's just the shoulder pads are so big, they should have been shrunken down maybe up to here. The shoulder pads shouldn't be this big, but I digress off of that. back to what I was saying here. You had enough figures in the DC Unlimited line to give us a Collect and Connect figure, and you just were like, nah, fuck it, we'll just do this instead. I don't know, it just comes off as really lazy. And like I said, I originally wasn't going to buy this figure, but then since I told myself, you know, I'm going to attempt to get every figure that was made from the DC Unlimited DC Universe Classics line in DCUC form, you know, I kind of had to get it. And you know, a lot of you out there might be like, well, that's just stupid, why would you waste money on that? I only got this guy for $10, and he was mint on card. So I mean, that's not a bad deal at all on my part, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. But I mean, I'm not going to deny that his sculpt work and his paint is bad, because is good, because it's not bad at all. Like, he's got sculpting going throughout his arms here. You can see the rock-like sculpting that they did throughout his whole body. And his chest symbol is very well done. Like I said, I can't get over this face sculpt because it looks so good. It's just he's so misproportioned. It's just too bad. Even they got some cracking going on through here on his sides throughout his costume, even on his Omega symbol here. And it's like, you had the right idea, you just went with the wrong body. You know? I mean, these shoulder pads would fit. These shoulder pads would fit this Collect and Connect figure in scale. I don't know, it's just me, but there's your one size comparison. I'm gonna do the other one, which I gotta back up way. Here is the DC Collectibles. I like to call it the small child Darkseid, which I gotta back him way up. He's not. I can't even fit him in frame. But I mean, look at that, and then look at this. And sure, a lot of people might say, you know, he's out of scale and blah blah blah. But I don't know. Me personally, I like my Darkseid to be big. But I mean, yeah, maybe he might be too big. But for your DC Universe Classics, maybe not DC Collectibles so much. But still, there he is. I'll just do a little 3 in a row here. There we go. Still think they should have went with the Collect and Connect body for this one. It would have just really set it off. And I probably wouldn't even bought the DC Collectibles one if they used the Collect and Connect Darkseid body. But as you can see, he's way too short, way too small. So there's your size comparisons there. I grabbed every Darkseid I could. But I mean, if you have to choose between this Darkseid and the DC Collectibles one, I mean, sure, you're going to spend almost $100, but if you want a new 52 Darkseid, the point is, I wouldn't waste money on this. I would just save up your money and get the big one. That's just me, though. But if you were to get one, I would just get the Collect and Connect figure, which is fairly affordable. I think you can find them for around $50, maybe under $50. So, but with that said, let me go through his articulation. Those are my viewpoints and all that stuff. So, all that jazz. His head does move up and down a little bit of a rocker there. Nothing too much. It does swivel, but it's hindered by the shoulder pads. If you really want to force it, you can get it over. But the shoulder pads are in the way a little bit. His arms do go up about that far, and that's it. And they go down, and they can do a full 360 if you really wanted to, because these are a pliable, flexible, rubbery plastic type. Actually, rubbery plastic wouldn't make sense, so they're just rubber. He's got a bicep swivel, a single bend at the elbow. He's got a wrist rotation, no hinge. He's got an ab crunch, which goes back and not forward very much at all. So mostly just back. He's got a waist swivel, and he's got T-jointed. He's got ball-jointed hips from the Motu body, but you really gotta like force the sculpted sides of his uniform here out to get him to do splits. But he will do them. They are ball-jointed, so there you go. So they go out and they go forward, not too far forward, because his skirt or tunic, if you want to call it that, is kind of hindering it. It does go back nicely. He does have an upper thigh swivel that's hidden here, which is nice. Single bend at the elbow, at the knee, and he's got an ankle hinge. And he does have that Motu ankle pivot, which always kind of peeves me because it's like you gave Motu figures an ankle pivot, but you couldn't give DC Collectibles ones an ankle pivot. But that's a different story for a different time. We're talking about Darkseid right now. As far as his packaging goes, I'm not going to bother with the packaging. I'm sure you've all seen the DC Unlimited packaging now. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. It's not that big of a deal. So there you go. I'm just trying to focus on the figure here. Yeah, so I would say sculpt-wise, if you just want a figure to maybe fit in with your 3 3/4 inch figures, maybe this is the way to go for your smaller DC figures. But as far as fitting in with your DC UC and DC Unlimited figures, I don't think he's really in scale. So, actually, you know what? I'll go get a DC Universe Classics real quick. Okay, and we're back with Barry, New 52 Barry Allen here, and as you can see, Barry is almost, I mean, he's pretty close to Darkseid's height, and Darkseid to me should be like a little bit up, maybe up here. That's just me though. I mean, that's just my opinion, but there's no way that Barry Allen should be this close to being as tall as Darkseid. I don't know, that's just me. I like my villains to look a little bit imposing when they're supposed to. But to each their own. But I'm letting you know that this figure, there are bright spots to it, but I'm not going to recommend you get this figure. That's just my opinion. He's not in scale. His proportions are awkward, and he's just not what he should be. So I'm going to say don't recommend getting this figure. If you want to get one, get the Collect and Connect DC Universe Classics Darkseid, or if you want a New 52 version, get the larger DC Collectibles New 52 Darkseid. Save up your money and spend a little bit more, and you get a little bit more. So with that being said, this is ODC, that's me, signing off saying, hey, don't get this figure. No, but seriously though, I'm looking out for you guys. That's why I do these reviews, because I'm trying to be a little bit more impartial, and if I have a problem with something, I'm going to point it out. So there you go. Hate me if you want, but that's the way it is. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the flip side.